All right, everybody, bear with me as I get this into the holder. So here's what we're going to focus on today. This is kind of a prelude, to a video that's coming, hopefully later this week. And what that is I've got a Jack Wolf knife coming. My first Jack Wolf knife. It's going to be the new Gunslinger. I handled it at the Blade show, but I'd already bought my Benchmade shootout and was like, I want to spend another few $100s on another knife. And then I kind of regretted it. And so they went on sale. I managed to order one. So this is a prelude to it, and this is why I decided to get it. We'll talk about it a little bit, as well as show off some other knives here. So I tend to carry more tactical-ish knives, more, today I've got the Kershaw Blur that I've been carrying with the titanium deep carry pocket clip aftermarket. I tend to carry those kinds of knives, Benchmade, Bug Out, the Shootout. I carry the OTF sometimes. But I've always had a kind of a special place in my heart for the more traditional knives. And so Jack Wolf is going to take it to a whole nother level. We're going to do its own review when that gets here. I'm just waiting for it to arrive. But here's what I'm going to like. Here's where I'm setting the table for it. I love the traditional knives. I have a case knife. It's just a trapper design. This is actually a good specimen for case. Case can be very hit or miss. This one's actually been really nice, but I like traditional slip joints. I've got a couple Great Eastern cutleries. I've got the Remington Bullet edition that's made by Great Eastern Cutlery for them. That is also a trapper design using, I think, 1085 or 1095 high carbon steel, bone handle, really, really nice action. And then I've got another Great Eastern Cutlery, or whatever, this is a cattle knife. And this one is basically I don't know what pattern you'd call it. The blade pattern is a Stockman. The handle's a little different, but I guess this is more, I guess it's still considered a Stockman. And I like traditional knives. There's something cool, something comforting, just like I like revolvers, just like I like lever action rifles lately. There's something cool about just, I don't know, having a piece of history, even if it's newly made, in your hand. Now, where these knives, and then where Jack Wolf is going to take us to a whole nother level, is there are some companies out there. I got 2 LionSteels and one from Rough Rider, their APTA line, that takes your traditional slip joints and it retains the slip joint, but it's using modern materials and it's a modern take. And that's the whole design language of the knife that's coming that I can't wait to get, which is the Jack Wolf. You've got really nice manufacturing quality here, but it's using traditional materials, bone, things like that. Then you get into, here's a slip joint. This is a LionSteel M390 steel made in Italy. Uses, in this case, it's aluminum, but they make a titanium. But it's a what do they call this? An integral knife. So it's not scales. When you make these, you've got liners, you've got scales. You pin them together and mash them with rivets, and then polish over it so it looks like it's one smooth piece. But actually, there's a pin that goes through both sides, and it's slightly flared so it doesn't push out and loosen up. Sometimes on knives, you can sometimes see them. This one actually does a good job of hiding it. Anyway. So here you've got adjustable pivots. This is one piece of billet aluminum that they just milled out. Notice there's no seam here. That looks like a seam. That's actually the back spring. And you open it and you use it just like a traditional slip joint. But it's a nice modern, more modern steel. It's a more modern blade design. It's a certainly much more modern handle. And then you have an integrated pocket clip. So that's spring-loaded, so there are no hot spots. When you're holding it, it's perfectly flat and flush. But you push that in, and there's your pocket clip. Another LionSteel, this is their take on the Barlow, which is titanium. It is carbon fiber. And it takes that sort of old school design element, the old patterns, and it puts a modern spin on them. Another one that I've got is this is only $30. This is $30 at the local knife store. It's what's the name of the damn place? I'm in there every freaking week. Old Town Cutlery in Cumming, Georgia. This is $30. You've got micarta. You've got a VG10 Warncliffe blade, or is that a sheep's foot? I always forget which. They're kind of similar. But really nice, snappy action. And unlike the actual traditional knives, you know, when you've got pivots here, you can adjust. You know, it's oftentimes hit or miss when you've got a knife like this that's pressed together. It's got a little bit of blade wobble. Not enough that I think it would ever be a problem, but you're using, it's going to loosen up over time, and there's no way to retighten it. So as you open it up, and after a while, you've worn away a thousandth of an inch or something of the metal on metal, and the contact, you know, as it rubs back and forth like that, you know, over time, that's going to loosen up a little bit more. These ones tend to be a little bit tighter, but these are also $180 knives versus a $70 knife. But on the new modern designs, you can actually adjust the pivot, which is nice. So you can get it exactly where you want, where you don't have any of that rocking back and forth. You just have the flexing of the blade, but you can keep it to where it's tight enough that there's no rocking, but you get that really nice, snappy action. Same thing here. Nice, snappy action with zero blade play, like nothing. There is no blade play. All you get is a slight flexing. So Jack Wolf takes this to a whole nother level. I'm not going to go too far into it because I don't have the knife here to talk about it, but that's what is coming. So think of this as a prequel. I really like the traditional styles, but I also think it's really cool to take that and take it to the next level with a modern design. You're taking something timeless, but you're making it a little bit more relevant in the modern era. This is a great little knife. And it's very useful. It's small. You can just get a hand on it. If you're just whittling and opening boxes and stuff, and you got other blades, so if you want to come in here and do something where you want to do some cutting, but you want the blunted point, so you don't risk poking a hole in whatever it is that you're cutting, that's called a spay blade. And then, of course, you got a nice little utility-style blade here, so that if you want to just do draw cuts and stuff, you've got that really fine control. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people would look at that and go, they want something more new and more modern. But you may live in an area where you can't carry a locking knife, but you want something that's a little more like the modern tactical-ish kind of blades, but they're still slip joints and still using that old school, you know, kind of technology as far as a locking mechanism. By that I mean there is no locking mechanism, which depending on your state or country might be a good thing. But anyway, these are the ones that I have always appreciated. I know I sound like I'm going to be like on the Jack Wolf bandwagon, but some of his designs are just, to put it bluntly, they're fucking amazing. So I can't wait to get my first one, and I'm probably going to add some others. But I did start thinking, I'm like, well, what do I like about it? Well, I like that it's the old school, but with the new design. And then I'm like, wait, I actually already have some of those. They're just not going to be at that level. So you're going to see these again later in the week when I get the Jack Wolf Gunslinger. That is a one-handed opening knife. It's his first locking design using a bolster lock with a titanium clip, but it's a really cool classic historical pattern that he's kind of brought into the modern era with the modern materials and just his take on things. I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, stay tuned for that. And I've got individual reviews on all these knives. But I definitely like the whole what's old is new again approach to things. And hopefully all that I'm excited for right now and hyping for this Jack Wolf knife, I'm hoping it really lives up to the hype. We'll find out in a few days. Stay tuned for that.